Okay, on number 18, 19, and 20, we're supposed to be using our creativity to try to sketch a graph of a function with the domain and range they give us. Now, there's not just one right answer to this. There's lots of different right answers. But here's what you're looking for is this. When they tell you the x's are between 0 and 4, 1 and 4, let me show you what I do, because this is kind of hard for me to do if I don't do it this way. I kind of come in and I say, okay, my x's are between 1 and 4. Okay, so I'll draw that way. And then I'm going to use a different color to talk about my y's, just so you can kind of see what I'm doing if you're watching the video. The y's are between -3, well that's -1, -2, -3, so they're like between -3 and 5. Okay, so in that little area that's blocked off there in the middle, that rectangle that you see, that's where I want my graph to be, but I got to be really careful. Here I don't have to be as careful as I do in number 20. I want to count what points fall. If you look at this, the x's have to be in between 1 and 4, but they can also be equal to 1 and 4. Remember that little line under there means we want to count those x's. So I'm going to have my dots on 1 and 4 are going to be colored in to show that I'm counting 1 and 4 on my kind of each end of my little piece of my graph I'm going to draw here. And in this same thing down here, the y's are going to, you're counting the y's at -3 and -5. So you're going to want to have points colored in on -3 and -5. There's a lot of things you can do here. One of the simplest things you could do, somebody in class said, oh, I drew a line. That's fine. You can draw anything as long as it's a function. And remember, when you draw what you draw, how you can tell if you drew a function is to do the vertical line test. Make sure that you only have one y for each x. So that's, we'll check that when we're done too, just to show you what I mean. Now the simplest thing you could do here, and I'll draw in red, would be to do something like maybe this. I don't know. It didn't even have to be a straight line. I was trying to do a straight line and it curved, and that's okay because it's still a function. If I do the vertical line test, it just kind of, it's not the same slope all over, but we'll just say it's a curve. It's fine. Is my x equal 1? Do I have a value colored in for it? Yes, I'm drawing it a little darker here. At x equal 4, that point is colored in. I want it to be because of this equal sign that's under there. Likewise, if I look, my y's are between -3 and 5. Those were the green lines that I drew. And I want there to be a colored in dot at -3 down here. And is there? Yeah, it's colored in. Is there one up at 5? Here's 5. Yeah, there is. So something like that is an easy way to do it. But then you get problems like number 20 that's not so easy to think about. So let me do number 20 next. I'll set it up before I start recording. Okay, this problem is a lot trickier. Let's go ahead and block our kind of stuff off like we did in the last one. Okay, so my x's are between 0 and 5. Here is x is 0. Remember, this is my x-axis. And here is x is 5. I'm just going to kind of help block off a little space to draw my function in. And then on my y's, I want my y's between 2 and 7. So 7 is up here, and 2 is right here. Now I got to be careful because if you look at these, you don't want to have the x that's at 0 colored in. Look right here. There is no equal sign under that inequality. There is no equal sign here. There is no equal sign here. So we're going to have to be kind of careful. Now, what makes this so tricky is that, you might think, oh, I'll just do something like this and I'll be good, but that won't work. It almost does. It just won't work because the 7, the y at 7 has to be colored in. Look right here. The only one of these that has a line under it is this one. So can I draw something that's a function that, and let me draw in red, that goes up to 7 and has a point there, but it can't be on the endpoints of 0 and 5 because they're not supposed to have a dot colored in on them. We're not counting their values. So here's what I would suggest doing is maybe coming up here to 7 somewhere and just putting a dot. And because we want it colored in, I'm going to color it in, and that's because of this, equal sign under the inequality. And now you can do a lot of things here. Let's say I want to start right here. That would be a good way to take care of both the 0 of x and the y of 2 not being colored in, is to have that point there, and maybe on 5 down here, maybe I'm going to, who knows, it could be almost anywhere now. It just needs to be on that green line somewhere. I could do something like this and then make it come back down. That might work. Right there, that would work. If you think about it, you don't have if you think about your x's between 0 and 5, but x is 0 is not colored in, x is 5, that point's not colored in. And on your y's, the 2 is not supposed to be colored in, and it's not here. But you're supposed to have 7 colored in. I can't do this scenario over here because I'd want to color in the 7, and then if I colored in the 7, x is 5 would be colored in if I had drawn that in over here in this box instead of what I drew. That's what makes that one tricky.